Hi, I'm Deborah. I'm the host here at E-Schoolhouse, and I am really happy to be here. I'm happy you're here too. Now, this has been a nutty time that we've been going through. These last few months, I don't want to use the word chaos, but I'm sure there are days when it just feels so chaotic. But from chaos comes a lot of amazing things, new realizations, new learnings, new ideas that pop into your head as you're working with your children. I really believe from this chaos, you can learn a lot. I want to explain to you something that's the most important thing about learning, at least in my opinion. But I'm going to do that by giving you an example. So let me show you something. I think that was enough time for you to read that. Now, if you can read music, you knew what that was. You know, maybe you're that person who can read music so well that you understood Beethoven's meaning. Maybe all you realized was that that was music, okay? But if I were to ask you to learn how to read that, could you? In order for you to be able to read the music, let's just say for the sake of argument that you don't know how to read music. In order for you to be able to, you'd have to really have somebody help you. And that person would have to start with something very basic. What do you already know? Learning is all based on building on what you already know. So the most important thing about learning is your background knowledge. Now let's talk about a little child learning how to read. You know, when they're very, very little, they sit in your lap and you read books to them and they start to associate your words with what they see on the page. And then over time, you start teaching them their ABCs and they start associating the name of the symbol with the letter. That is the early stages of reading. If your child didn't have that, then she'd never be able to figure out how to read. But how it works with a little child is it's very unintimidating. It's not like they're trying to read a Beethoven piece. It's very unintimidating because she learns it at her own pace. She learns it from you at her own pace. Learning is simply based on what you already know. Now, when I was a classroom teacher, and I then became an instructional coach, and one of my jobs was my favorite one actually, was to go into the alternative high school in my district and work with the students there. Many of them were there because they really had a hard time passing the state level exit exams that they needed in order to get a high school diploma. And because of my background in math and science, I worked with them on passing their math test. Let me tell you, it astounded me how many of those children didn't even know what division multiplication meant. And they're being asked to pass a state level exit math test that tested their knowledge of algebra and geometry. They didn't know the basics, so how could they learn the hard stuff? And it was so gratifying to take these children, figure out where they were, and then bring them back to where they needed to be. It was amazing and it was wonderful. And in the world of education, we do call that scaffolding. But when you're working with your children at home, you can do that too. It's one of those things that you have to know what it is they need to know. And I can help with that. Actually, that's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm going to be hosting a free workshop starting on June 15th. And it's basically going to be about all these important concepts of teaching children how to learn, especially at home from you. Now, let's face it, if you've got kids in elementary school, they know their letters. Many of them are already reading. And let me ask you something. Who taught them that? That was you. So you can teach them all these other things that they need to know. I'm certain of it. The things that you can do to help your children right now, I'm sure you're already doing. But if you tune in for the free workshop starting June 15th, you might learn a few more things that you can do with your child as you're working to help them learn at home. I mean, guys, I don't know what's going to happen in the fall. I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter because whether your child goes to public school, private school, or you're homeschooling, what I'm going to teach you in this free workshop is really going to help you help them get the most out of their education. And isn't that what it's all about? We want our kids to learn the most they possibly can. So I'm really hoping that you'll join me for the free workshop on June 15th. If you would like to come, please send me a direct message or type something in down below here. I would love to talk to you directly. That would be a way that we could figure out exactly, when we're going to do it and all that other kind of stuff. And I would really appreciate that feedback. So whether or not you know anything about teaching, I know you can teach your own child. So I thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.